A shocking Florida triple murder case unravels the story of a wannabe gang and a 12-year-old boy's chilling confession. This video dives deep into the senseless 2023 Marion County homicides of Layla Silvernail, Michael Hodo Jr., and Camille Quarles. We uncovered the unbelievable details behind the crime, the plea deals, and the emotional courtroom testimonies that led to a 15-year-old Christopher Atkins being sentenced to 40 years in prison. What truly happened on that tragic night? Was it a robbery gone wrong or something far more sinister? Watch as we expose the true crime story that stunned a nation. Subscribe for more wild and unbelievable true stories you won't hear anywhere else. I'm talking about a crime where the motive wasn't some grand evil plan. It was just kids trying to be tough, trying to be something they weren't. And in one night, that desperate act of playing tough cost 3 people their lives. This is the story of a wannabe gang, a plea for a second chance, and a tragedy that will haunt a Florida town forever. Okay, so picture this. It's late March 2023 in Ocklawaha, Florida. It's a quiet little place, a town where nothing really happens. The kind of place you'd never expect a story like this to unfold. There are 6 teenagers, all packed into a car. Layla Silvernail, Michael Hodo Jr., and Camille Quarles. These are our victims. Robert Robinson, Tahj Brewton, and a little boy named Christopher Atkins. These are our accused. The oldest, Robert, is just 17. The youngest, Christopher, is only 12. Just 12 years old. Still a kid, still in middle school. But on this night, he was in the car with the older kids. And according to court records, this group of kids were all part of a so-called gang. Not a real gang, not a terrifying organized crime group. It was just a bunch of teenagers trying to seem cool, trying to look hard. And what's the coolest thing a wannabe gang can do? A robbery. A simple drug robbery. Just to get some weed. That was the plan, supposedly. But here's the thing about plans. They almost always go wrong. Especially when you're a group of kids with a stolen gun and 0 experience. The night starts to go off the rails. It's not clear exactly what triggered the switch, but the vibe in that car changed from casual hanging out to pure panicked chaos. According to a confession that would later be made by one of the kids, the first act of violence came from Tahj Brewton. He was sitting in the back seat, he pulled out a gun, and he shot 2 of his friends. He shot Layla Silvernail, and he shot Michael Hodo Jr. Just like that. No warning, no big fight, just done. The car, now a mobile crime scene, swerved. Layla was driving, and now she was losing control. The car crashed. The other kids scramble out of the wreckage. Chaos, yelling, crying. And 2 of their friends are lying there, bleeding. Now, you'd think this would be the end of it. The moment of panic that makes you realize you've messed up and you have to call for help. But no. This is where the story gets even more horrifying. The 3 remaining kids are standing there, looking at their friends, trying to figure out what to do. Layla, badly injured, is still breathing. Michael, shot, is on the side of the road. And Camille, the 3rd friend, she's still there, still with them. What happens next is straight out of a horror movie. The 2 older boys, Robert and Tahj, decide they have to cover this up. They drag Layla's body away from the crash site and dump it near a dumpster. They leave Michael where he is. And then Robert turns to the youngest member of the group, Christopher. He looks at this 12-year-old boy and he says 3 words that would change that kid's life forever. He said, "You gotta do it." Christopher, a middle schooler, is being told he has to shoot his friend. Why? Because Robert allegedly said that if he didn't, Robert would kill Christopher and his family. Imagine that. You're 12 years old. You just watched your friends get shot. You're covered in blood, and your friend is telling you to pull the trigger or you're next. The boy did it. He pulled the trigger. He shot Camille. But that still wasn't enough. According to Christopher's confession, Robert took the gun back and shot Camille again and again, just to make sure she was completely gone, just to make sure there were no witnesses, no one to tell the police what really happened. They then dragged Camille's body and stuffed it in the trunk of the car, and they drove off, leaving a trail of blood and death behind them. They tried to hide the car. They tried to hide the bodies. They left Layla's body by a dumpster, a place where people throw away their garbage. Michael was left on the side of the road. Camille's body was abandoned in a sunken car. And with that, the 3 remaining kids drove away, leaving behind a night of unthinkable violence. The bodies were found over the next few days. The entire town was on fire. The news was everywhere. Police start looking for answers. They're trying to figure out who would do something so brutal to 3 teenagers. And that's when the trail leads them to Robert, Tahj, and Christopher. When they get brought in, it's a mess. They all start pointing fingers. He did it. No, he did it. It's a classic case of everyone trying to save their own skin. But the details from Christopher's confession, they were chilling. The police had a 12-year-old boy on camera telling them he was forced to shoot his friend. And Robert, the oldest, who allegedly ordered the shooting of Camille, when asked why he shot one of the victims again, his response was just cold. He said, because she was still alive. She was going to snitch on us all. We were all going to go to jail for life. It's that moment that solidifies what this was. Not just a robbery gone wrong, this was a panicked, desperate attempt to cover their tracks. An attempt that led to 3 more murders. Years went by as the legal system did its thing. And then the day of reckoning arrived. The sentences. The courtroom was packed. The families of Layla, Michael, and Camille were there. You could feel the anger, the pain, the absolute heartbreak in the room. And then, Christopher Atkins, the boy who was 12 at the time, stood up to face the judge. He was 15 now. A teenager. Still a kid. But not the little boy he was when this all happened. He got a chance to speak. A chance to apologize. And his words were something else. He looked right at the judge. He wore a bright orange jumpsuit, and he said, I think I'm bad. I'm not. I promise you, give me another chance. He then said, I promise you, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. I promise you, I bet you won't see me on that TV doing good. It was a strange mix of bravado and desperate pleading. A kid who still didn't fully grasp the gravity of what he had done. The families were in the room, and they were in tears. Layla's grandmother, Lisa Windsor, stood up and gave her own speech. She said her and her husband, who weren't in good health to begin with, felt like the heartbreak was slowly killing us from the inside out. She said the pain never ends. It never stops. The judge, a man who had been doing this for 35 years, looked at Christopher and told him he had never seen a case like this. He told Christopher that he was 12 years old when you started your descent into a life of crime. It's a sad state of affairs. And he gave him his sentence. 40 years. A 15-year-old, who was 12 when he committed murder, was sentenced to 40 years in prison. As for the other 2, Robert Robinson, the oldest one, who allegedly ordered the shooting of Camille, was sentenced to life in prison. The judge called him the orchestrator of the crimes. Tahj Brewton was also sentenced to life in prison. The 2 older kids, the ones who allegedly started the whole thing, will likely never see the outside world again. And the youngest, the one who was just a kid, will spend his entire adult life in prison. This case is a wake-up call. It's a brutal look at what happens when kids, fueled by bad choices and a desperate need to feel important, go down a path they can't come back from. It's a story of a wannabe gang that became all too real. And it ended with 3 teenagers with their whole lives ahead of them becoming victims, and 3 more becoming criminals. And that, my friends, is why you never, ever mess around with bad decisions. Because sometimes the smallest wrong turns lead to the most horrifying endings. Don't forget to subscribe.